You mentioned about the joy of giving back in a community setting. Am I right in saying that following your cancer diagnosis, you're now involved in cancer charities? Or
Yeah, so I do lots of charity work through my business. We helped 13 different charities last year. Now that could be monetary, it could be getting the team along to, fix a fence or whatever the case may be. So I'm an ambassador for Prevent Breast Cancer. So I help with fundraising, raising awareness, through my experiences, trying to tell them about what happened to me, and if it gets them to check their breasts, then if it's only just one person, then job done. I'm also the chair of the board of trustees at hospice. I'm also involved in making Northwich dementia friendly. So that's across a group of people locally. We've done training. We do Dementia Cafe every month. And yes, it fills my heart with joy because it is about our communities, and I think we've lost our way a little bit about our communities, where we used to have, we mentioned before about youth clubs. Where's youth clubs gone? Where do our teenagers go now? They're all on social media or TikTok or whatever the case may be. But our communities still need us. Whether that is 15 years old, 30 years old, or 80 years old, our communities still need us, and I see it as my duty to do that.
Presumably when you went through your cancer trauma, you had a fair amount of contact with the NHS.
Yes.
How did you find it?
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. However, so I'll give you a little bit of my story. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2016. I had a mastectomy and reconstruction at the same time on April the 1st, so April Fool's Day. And I always remember the consultant saying, right, I can do it on the 1st of April. And I was like, well, April Fool's Day? And he said, yeah, why? Is that an issue? And I was like, can you make it the afternoon? And he's like, why? And I was like, because everybody plays a fool, before 11 o'clock. And I remember having a real good laugh, and through those times you have to find ways to laugh. And the care that I got back in 2016 was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, from the NHS, from the nurses, from the consultants. Fast forward 6 years later, that I needed some adjustment, let's just say, because the wonders of medical transformation, things change. And I was put on a waiting list, and I was on that waiting list for nearly 4 years.
God.
Now I understood, because I didn't have cancer anymore.
It wasn't life-threatening.
But 4 years was a very long time. As I said before, I'm coming up to 9 years cancer-free. I take time out on the 1st of April every single year and do something extremely positive, and it could be anywhere in the world. I have been to Spain, to the Caribbean, to wherever.
Can I come next year?
Jonathan has just been so supportive as well. He's one of the things that we talked about was, how do we tell the children? How do we, and we, our youngest, we gave him kind of little jobs around the house when I had my mastectomy. Just little things like just opening the curtains, because I couldn't physically open the curtains. But as I got better, of course, I started to open the curtains. So, psychologically, he could go, "Oh, Mum's getting better." Just little
Brilliant.
Simple things like that really help. But for me, life throws you curveballs. Life throws things at you, and it's how you deal with that. And, I look at my experience in a positive way to say, we only get one go around the world here, and if I can help someone, check their breasts or...
I think this is so important. I had COVID I was in hospital for 10 days on oxygen. And obviously in that situation, it crosses your mind that you're not going to walk out the hospital. And I have to say, it's quite life-changing in that when you come out, you do tend to look at things a little bit differently.
Yeah. I don't want to get upset.
No, don't.
No, it's fine. Just knock the microphone out of the way. The night before my diagnosis, I went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. And in a moment of clarity, at 46 years old, I wrote my funeral plan.
Well, I've done mine.
Yeah.
It's in with my will in the safe.
Yeah. So it is one of those moments where you think, what if this doesn't quite go the way I want it to? But what I did was I put my lump in a mind map, and I put, here's my lump, and out of that mind map I put, what are the options here? And I was very fortunate, and I do always call myself fortunate that I caught it early, and because I have friends who have had breast cancer and are no longer with us, so it does absolutely, any trauma gives you clarity of, and that's why I stood for, general election. That's why I stood, because I have to give back, but also for my family and for my community. And it's interesting that I always go to Emily Pankhurst sometimes when I need just that little bit of inspiration. Maybe I've had a troll or somebody said something that, is kind of gone, oh, why have you said that? And a few years ago, I started researching some of her stuff and some of her quotes, etc., etc. And one of her suffragettes was a lady in Kentucky called Emma Guy Cromwell.
All right.
And she was a trailblazer. She was the first lady to be elected onto the council in Kentucky. And I have a book, and she brings me a lot of inspiration. And I just find it whether it's the universe or very ironic that her name was Emma Guy.
That's a great story.